Lounge, and my name is Hesham Jamil, and today I have the opportunity to have a very insightful conversation with someone who has dedicated his life to transforming education, helping students, teachers, and schools becoming better learning communities. So today I am joined by Mr. Robert Thorn, and Robert is a highly experienced intercultural and international educator, and he is currently principal at Belvedere British School, Abu Dhabi, and he is also the founding director of Developing Real Learners and the Academy of Learner Development, where he works on creating lifelong learners, supporting teachers and parents, and transforming the way education works. First of all, Robert, thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
You're
And
welcome. Nice to be here.
to start our conversation, I would love to know about your journey. You have worked in different educational environments and cultures. So, what inspired you to choose education as your career, and what has been the biggest lesson you have learned throughout this journey?
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I became a teacher mostly because I wanted to escape from Britain, and I wanted to go around the world and understand the world, and um, and I wanted to be a writer of novels and things like that. And to do that, of course, you have to earn some money. So I thought, well, a good way of getting out of Britain would be a teacher, to become an international teacher. And so I wasn't, my degree was physics. And so I became a physics teacher, which I think is a really good thing because English teachers, all right, you can be an English teacher, like English as a foreign language teacher, and it takes you wonderful places. It's fine, but I think being a science teacher, it really took me into the heart of schools, um, and then once I discovered teaching and education, it just took all my creativity, all that creativity I was going to spend on writing, I used it in education. It just became a thing I like to do, like to go in and be with kids, young people, uh, to help them to learn together with them. And so I didn't really have a job. I had uh, a passion, really, a thing that I really found what I wanted to do. So, and I never did write a novel. So there we are.
Okay, that's great. So, was there a specific movement or experience that helped you realize that education was your true purpose?
What was my true purpose?
I said that was there a specific movement or experience that made you realize that
Oh,
education was your true purpose?
oh, I see. Yes. Well, I suppose there was a turning point. So I went along. I was a teacher, and I got on well with the students. I didn't get on all that well with the school leaders. Um, I mean, it was okay, but a lot of the time it was sort of like I was more with the students than I was with the school leaders in the early days. Um, in Britain, especially. Uh, then in Czechoslovakia, my first experience abroad, we were beginning our own school in a way, a school within a school, and that gave me a lot of freedom to do things in education, to explore things. And I had a brief time when I went back to England, and I realized one teacher, one friend, said to me, "You're really weird as a teacher," and it really made me think. And I asked why, and she said, "Well, I don't know, but you just do things differently." And it took me quite a while in my career, a few years later, to actually understand what she meant. And what I understand is that for some reason, I naturally built a relationship with the students. And my goal, although I was a science teacher, my goal wasn't to teach science. My goal was to help these young people to to grow and to develop and to learn different things and have an open mind to things and get a passion for learning. And science was sort of like the context through which I taught that. Now, it was sort of helped because in some jobs I was teaching English through science. So I had a whole load of kids. They didn't know any English, and I had them as for a science lesson. My job was to help them to keep up their science while they were learning English. And so I understood you could do two things at once: you teach the science, you help them learn the science, and you could teach the English at the same time. So that meant you could teach science and you could help them to do something else as well through the science. Yeah. So then later on, I had a sort of I joined the International Baccalaureate. I was in International Baccalaureate schools. They very much grow the learner. The program is designed to grow the learner in the context of the subjects. So you're not teaching like normal teaching. CBSE, yeah, and the IGCSEs and all of those sorts of things.
Yes.
The teachers come along, they teach you the subject, and then they test you in the subject. And if you pass, it's good. And if you don't do very well, then, oh, maybe you didn't try hard enough, or you're lazy, or you're
Yes.
spoiled, or you're some other stupid excuse that blames it on you. Yeah.
Yes.
And I never really saw education like that. I saw it in a different way, that you grow the learner and the learner then deals with the subject and you help them deal with the subject. So I found when I was working with the International Baccalaureate that nearly all of the kids would pass, even if they hated science. They'd say, I hate science. All right, let's do some science. Okay. And then a little bit later on, they'd say, I love the lessons. And say, oh, great. So you love science. They say, no, I love the lessons. I don't love the science. I don't love science, but I love the lessons because I'm growing in there.
Yes.
And suddenly I realized what I was doing was sort of in a natural, implicit way. I and many other teachers were helping young people to grow as good learners within their topic, within their subjects. So it was making it relevant to all kids. Any kid in my class, they would grow and what are they growing? What are they developing as learners? Later on, we identified these things. The IB identified them. Loads of people have identified lists of fundamental things that make you a good learner. Being able to work with other people, being able to communicate effectively. So that's listening as well as speaking. Being able to learn from your mistakes and enjoy your mistakes. Being able to reflect on things, knowing yourself, knowing how you're thinking about things, so metacognition. Um, Anti-fragility. When things get tough, you grow from that experience. So a whole load of things, balance in your life, finding the right balance. Sometimes the balance is different when you're young than when you're older. So understanding these things and understanding that not only school, but life is about developing yourself to be able to do what you want to do. So a lot of people say to kids, oh, find your passion. Well, a lot of kids say, I don't know what my passion is,
You're
or
100% right.
what is it you want to do in life? And they say, I don't know. They used to say things. They used to know what they wanted to do. Nowadays, nobody knows what they want to do. So the only thing you can do is to make sure that you're ready for when that thing comes along or when you get an opportunity, to be able to see opportunities, be able to create opportunities, to be able to notice where there's something that's not quite right, and then use your creativity and innovation to go and fix that problem or find a solution. That's the beginning of your entrepreneurship, yeah?
Yes.
Whether it's social entrepreneurship or whether it's business entrepreneurship. So,
I am.
so I began to become very passionate about, and I began to realize that how few educators actually think like that. How much research there is and how many people are writing books about it, there's hundreds, tons, thousands. And in the past, if you look into the past, I went to Japan and there's a person from 100 years ago. Uh, you look into the past in India, you find great educators, pre-colonial educators, who understood all of this sort of thing. But for some reason, we stick to this stupid, criminal, I would say criminal way of educating people, which is teach them a subject, test them, and pass or fail them. Sorry, I talk,
That's
I'm talking too much.
that's no, that's really great, and I'm totally agree, and I'm 100% agree to your perspective
Mm,
for the education. And thank you so much for sharing such a valuable insights with us. And now I want to say that many people think education is only about teaching subject and getting good grades and passing exams, but
mm,
your work focus on developing real learners. So can you explain what the difference is between a student who only studies and a student who becomes a lifelong learner?
mm. Okay. So yeah. So I think we're all lifelong learners because we're born as learners and we die as learners. We might not be very good at it along the way, but we're living things and we learn. So I don't like the term lifelong learners. Well, I like it because we all are, but learners for life, being a learner for life, is something, a phrase that I've coined to describe someone who actually knows themselves as a learner. So that's what I'm doing with my students at the moment in my school. I'm getting my teachers to look at kids and say, right, how can we get kids to understand and explicitly say, right, this lesson about, I don't know, about photosynthesis, biology lesson, we're going to study how plants make food. Okay. But we're going to do it through first looking at what's the best way to collaborate, to work together, or what's the best way to communicate our results of this investigation, or what's the best way of, or what's difficult about this, and let's find out why it's difficult and how we can deal with things like that that are difficult. Um, what can we do? How can we approach it with using our creativity? What opportunities have we got? And so you're giving kids, yeah, we're going to be studying this subject, but I'm looking out for all sorts of opportunities to develop myself. First of all, the teacher's helping you to do it. Then you begin to learn to do it yourself. The difference is a way of thinking about school. So I'm going to school to look for opportunities and to take those opportunities. And when those opportunities are not there, I'm going to create them for myself. So that's at the beginning. That's how it starts. In the end, I think for some of your viewers, the difference is perhaps summed up. So when I studied in London, and my friend went along to be a dentist, and he said, "There's all these guys." I mean, he was like me, regular white guy in Britain, and he went along. He studied at school. He did really well. He got his A levels. He went along to dental college, and dentistry is very tough. And he went there, and he said, "There's, I don't think I'm going to pass this because I don't think I'm working hard enough. Because I've gone out and he played music in a band, and he had a girlfriend, and he had a motorbike, right? And he did karate. So he did these things, and when he went home, he'd see all the people on his course, all guys with really top grades from India, from Pakistan, from China. They'd all come to England with really good grades, and they were studying like crazy. And he said, like, I can never compete with these guys because they study so much. And then when the exams came, he found that he was uh, quite high above average, quite a lot above average, and he was getting better grades than all these guys who were studying so much. Now, that's a sort of like an indication of what I mean. That this guy, he had grown up with a more sort of well-rounded look view of life. When he did his when he had, his life was balanced so that when he studied really well. He studied for understanding, and then he gave his brain some time to relax and take it all in. I mean, that's just one case of the outcome of this. But a learner for life is going to be able to understand that and do that on purpose. So a learner for life is going to be able to, at school, is going to be able to uh, study, but also do some projects and things on the side that and build a portfolio while they're at school. And that portfolio, when you get your good grades, because you studied well and you understand things and you're an organized person because you've been brought up in school to be like that, that portfolio is going to be very important to get you into good universities. I mean, universities that understand we don't want just students, we want people to come and be part of our community. So if you are looking at two students and they've both got A's, you want the one coming to your college that has already in their school started the table tennis club. They've written a research paper. They've led an expedition somewhere. They've done something, yeah. And so, because you know that probably when they come to your university, they're going to do those things as well. Um, so a learner for life is someone who not only he doesn't wait for the teacher to tell them what to do, like I did. I went to university and I sat there and I waited for things to happen, and it didn't. That didn't happen. I had to do them. Yeah, I had to be proactive.
Yes.
So, so it's like that. It's being able to take responsibility for your own education. And you've frozen. Right. Okay. We're back again. Good.
All right. Thanks so much for explaining it very well. And but I I wanna ask that do you think schools today are preparing students enough for the real world? And if no, so what should they do?
Sorry, can you say the first bit again? It's breaking up a bit.
I said that do you think schools today are preparing students enough for the real world? Or if no, so what should they do?
Uh, well, some schools are trying, and I know that there are some schools in Pakistan, for example,
Yes.
that are trying to do this. But can anyone go to those schools? No, probably not. They expensive schools, I guess, or there's just one school or two schools or three schools in each city. We need something for everyone, and so the answer, I think, really is no. We are um, we're doing a big disservice to most of the students. If you have competition in the class, for example. So when I went to Pakistan, I saw there was went visited schools, and the people said, "Oh, we have these are our toppers, and these are
Okay.
our, we have competition, and these are the best students." I said, "Well, what about the others? What about the guys who are the students who know they're never going to become a topper? All right. How about the guys who know they're never going to make it? You might as well give up." And you could see in some of the classes the kids sort of having given up. Really, it's boring. It's the poor teachers are trying to do what they can. They're trying to teach the subject. The kids are not really interested in it. They know they're not going to get very far, uh, and and it's such a shame. It's such a waste of life. So, just as an indication of this, I'm not saying that IB program is perfect, and it's very expensive as well. So not everybody can do it. What I'm trying to do is take the essence of programs like that. There's several programs like that, and help ordinary schools to be able to help their students to become really good. An interesting thing that happened was I implemented the middle years, the International Baccalaureate middle years program into several schools. And when we did that, a really weird thing happened. a lot of the kids who got B grades usually got B grades. So there's kids who they work really hard, they try their best, they're nice kids, and they always get a B, and they never really understand why they're not getting A's. And a really funny thing happened when you implement this MYP, the middle years program, for like young teenagers. Suddenly, the B grade students were getting top grades, and the A grade students weren't. In some cases they were, in some cases they weren't, and it was a big shock for them because we weren't any longer asking them to learn this stuff and reproduce it in a test. We were asking these kids to solve problems, to think, to come up with ideas, to manage a group, to do things like that. And these B grade students, suddenly, a lot of them were getting good grades because they were actually asked to be doing something different. And the A grade kids took them a few months to work out, wait a minute, what are we being asked? Because we need to do what we're being asked so we get back to being A grade students again. And they did. And so for those A grade students, suddenly they had to actually apply their knowledge and use their knowledge and doing it all, and standing up and presenting it and doing all sorts of things. And so that helped them to become well-rounded. It helped the B grade students to understand who they were. And so suddenly, and the kids who usually fail were gradually becoming more confident that they could at least pass this horrible thing that they didn't like, this subject they didn't like. And so more kids passed and more kids found themselves. So
Okay, all
that's
right. Okay, so Robert, now I want to tell you about our school, Behan School, and you can give feedback of that school. Okay,
okay.
so our school, Behan School, is the main goal of school is to make future leaders, and we don't have books and notebooks in our school. We use technology and laptop and mobile in our school, and our school main goal is that uh, like each children has to solve their one problem from Pakistan. Like they should dedicate their life for the one problem of Pakistan. Like
Mm,
if my name is Hesham Jamil FranchiseWala, so the FranchiseWala is my goal. Like I want to help the businesses to expand their business through franchising network, through digital franchising. And I recently created a software where brands can list their franchise, and anybody, the normal people, can buy their franchise through that software. So I have to create that network. I have to create that system that can expand franchise, that can help brands to grow more. So
great.
every student in the school has their own mission, their own wala,
Mhm.
their on which they are working. So the main goal is to solve that one problem and impact positively at least 1 million people, and have and got I think one Guinness World Record, and and earned $1 million before graduation. So that was the whole structure of Rehan School.
That's great. And how many thousands have you got so far? Or
Sorry,
is that a secret? How many hundreds of thousands have you got so far? Is that a secret?
uh, students.
No, you. How many dollars have you got so far?
Oh, okay.
Sorry, then maybe that's a
Uh,
secret. Yeah, you want to keep that a secret
I
for now.
think that is secret.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Okay, so now
Yeah,
we can move
that
forward.
sounds really right. And how
Okay.
does your school? How does your
Yes,
school help?
yes.
Cope? How does the school help you young people cope with things like addiction? Like addiction to screens, addiction to um, social media, isolation, depression, things that come with some of the use of technology.
Basically, we do yoga and meditation in our school
Wow. Okay.
for the mind freshness, because at full day, the our mind was just get in like confused. So we do yoga and meditation to be fresh and be motivated.
Wonderful. good. Yeah, and that helps with the focus. Yeah, because when you're
Yes,
on social media a lot, you lose focus. So the meditation helps you bring it back. Yeah, that's
yes, that
fantastic. Great.
that's so much helps. Okay, so
Yeah.
now Robert, I want to ask that today many young people are confused about their future, and they compare themselves with the other, and sometimes feel pressure to choose one path quickly. So, what advice would you give to students who are trying to discover their own abilities and interests?
Hmm. Okay. Read. That's one thing. Read as much as you can. People talk about, uh, you know, people are. Yeah, it's difficult sometimes. I even lost my reading power when during the COVID times, and I started to watch too much internet, and then I went back to reading, trying to read a book, and it was really difficult. But reading as much as you can, try to learn from as many people as possible, dig deep into things, dig deep into your roots, you know, and question everything. Question like everything you're allowed to question, or at least inside yourself, question things, and don't let yourself be drawn into following somebody else who may not be the right person to follow. I know in that area, I mean, in everywhere now, but especially in that area, if you watch television and the news, it's just that people are looking, and on the internet, people are looking to get you to watch them, and they'll say anything almost. And so just be really careful of that sort of thing. Um, Try to look inside yourself. The meditation thing is really good. The answers, I say, are all in yourself. And you need to just find them in there. Those learning powers I was talking about, you're born with these things. They're survival techniques, really, things to help you survive. So try to understand yourself, develop yourself, and whatever happens, then if you are the best you are, then that's going to be you're going to be able to cope with whatever comes up. One other thing, though, I think, you know, as you're doing the things you do, the regular day-to-day things, pick something every now and then, like every month, and say, I'm going to really do my best on this. I'm going to reach my current potential on this thing I'm doing. Yeah. So if you have to write an essay, or you have to design something, set some time aside to really like do one draft, and then maybe ask your tutors, like, what do you think of this, and then go back and do it again and do it again and do it, and until you get a really good product. Yeah. You can't do that with everything, of course, but if you get yourself used to reaching your potential, I think that's another really good trait to have. I'm going to be trying that with my students next year.
Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
And now, before we end this conversation, I have one final question that looking at the future of education, what is
Mm.
the one change you can hope to see in schools and learners in the coming years?
In the coming year,
Yes.
right? Well, um, I think, well, I can only talk about my own students, but I would like it be to be for everyone, um, that they begin to become liberated. Uh, Around the world, in many schools, the schools don't utilize the biggest resource they have, the most underused resource that they have, are the students themselves. And they say, "Oh, you can't do that," or uh, if you come up with an idea for students to, "Oh, I don't think the students can do that on their own. I'm going to teach them. I'm going to tell them what to do." They think that students need someone to tell them what to do. They don't. Students need just the space to be able to organize themselves. And in doing that, of course, they'll make mistakes sometimes. They won't do it the right way. But it doesn't matter because that's how you learn. So I think Liberating the Learner is a title of a book that I have by one of my favorite authors. And I think that's the thing that I would like to do next year is to really liberate my learners so that they begin to see school as a place they can come to develop themselves, to become the best learners they can be. And in that way, the teachers who also didn't get this education, they didn't learn these things. They didn't learn that you could develop your curiosity, for example. Yeah. Um, the teachers will begin to have a better level of well-being because they'll begin to develop themselves too. And they'll become better teachers, but they'll also become better parents as well. So it's a pretty big thing. And there you
Okay,
go.
that's it. And thank you so much,
You're
Robert, for sharing such valuable insights and experiences with us. And today's
welcome.
conversation really showed us that education is not only about gaining knowledge, but about the developing ourselves, becoming adaptable, and preparing for the future. Thank you again for your time, and it was a pleasure having you and speaking with you. And thank you everyone for listening. This was Hesham Jamil. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. And now I am signing out from the podcast. Thank you and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you very much. Good luck.